Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to Day 3 of official Oath of the Gatewatch spoilers. Today we have 9 brand new cards to take a look at. We have a couple cards that were previously leaked that have been finally confirmed by Wizards as well. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, definitely a great time to do so. We'll be doing spoiler videos every day that we have spoilers, try to consolidate them for you and do a little bit of quick analysis. And then a week from Friday, when the full set is spoiled, we'll begin our full set review and get you ready for the pre-release the following week. So having said that, let's jump into the cards. We're going to start things off with a card that was spoiled yesterday, but we saw the promo version of it, which was from the game day, and not the actual Oath version. So here's the Oath version of Immolating Glare. Very good card. If you'd like to learn more of my thoughts, definitely check out yesterday's video where we discussed this. Now we'll move on to some cards that were previously leaked and previously discussed in our videos, but they're now confirmed. So this one is Eili Eternal Pilgrim, and I really like this card a lot. Just not to spend too much time on it again, but just the fact you get a 2/3 for 2 with Death Touch, I love that. I think that's phenomenal. And then you can sacrifice creatures, so you can use this as a sack outlet to gain life. Especially with the last card we just saw, one of your Eldrazi's could be going in for attack. It gets destroyed. In response, you can sacrifice that creature, gain the life, and top of that, you might be able to use your next ability at that point. So very cool card. Next one is Spire's Needle. Again, this has been previously spoiled. This confirmation version is from a Japanese card, and this is the man land for Boros. And I wasn't super excited about this one. I think just because it's so fragile. You're spending 4 mana basically to turn it to a 2/1 creature, and 2/1 is just too fragile to me. I'm just a little worried about it surviving the process. Double Strike's great, and this card gets better if you have some Awaken effects where you can put some counters on this. Then actually it becomes a very good card, but you do have to do a little bit of work to make it great. Now let's go on to the brand new cards, and this is the first one of the day. Call the Gatewatch. 1 white, 2 colorless sorcery. Search your library for a Planeswalker card. Reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So, yep, you guessed it. It's a sorcery speed Planeswalker tutor. So where do you play something like this? Well, definitely Commander, probably goes without saying. Maybe some cubes, this would be really cool. And as far as standard goes, it could see some standard play. It's kind of interesting to think, if you have a card like this in your deck, you can play some more expensive Planeswalkers and not have to worry about drawing them perhaps too soon as often. So for example, I could play an Ob Nixilis and feel a little more confident that I could run 1, maybe 2 in my deck, but supplement that with this card. So you may see a different strategy in some of the standard decks going forward if they do employ a tactic like that. So keep an eye on this one. It could see some standard play. If you do have a Planeswalker in limited and you're lucky enough to pull this as well, yeah, you're going to be in a pretty good place. Just doubles your chances of being able to pull out a huge bomb. Next is a Mythic rare, and I believe this may be the only Mythic rare that was not spoiled in the leak. This is Linvala the Preserver. 2 white, 4 colorless, legendary angel, 5/5 flyer. When she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than you, you gain 5 life. When she enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, put a 3/3 white angel creature token flying on the battlefield. Okay, so first off, I gotta wonder, when we get to Innistrad, are they going to reprint Restoration Angel? I don't know. Who knows, right? That would be interesting. But aside from that, I mean, this card's just power. I mean, let's talk about limited first. Obviously, limited bomb. Even if it didn't have the effect, you're going to play a 5/5 flyer for 6 and be very, very happy with that. Can this see some standard play? Yes, in the right deck. If the blue-white control deck does become a thing, this is perfect. This is exactly what control decks are looking for. They're going to fall behind on life in the early game before they get their control engine moving. They're obviously, in most cases, going to be behind on creatures because they're not running many creatures in a control build. So they pull this out on turn 6 or 7, maybe turn 8 or 9 if they want to protect it. And this comes down, you got yourself perhaps 8/8 power toughness in the air, and you gain some life off of it. That's actually kind of awesome. I could see that type of deck running 1 or 2 of these in their build, no problem. Really cool card for cube, great commander card as well. It just does so much. It is legendary, so it could be a mono white commander, but that is also a pseudo drawback. You can't have more than 1 in play at a time. However, the enter the battlefield effect would still work. So very interesting card. I really like this a lot. Next we have Remorseless Punishment. 2 black, 3 colorless. It's a sorcery. Target opponent loses 5 life unless that player discards 2 cards or sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Repeat this process once. Okay, the only thing about a card like this is it has a pretty punishing effect, no pun intended, but at the same time, you're letting your opponent decide what that effect is, which means they're obviously going to decide the thing that is going to hurt them the least. So maybe they have some tokens in play that they don't really care about, and they can toss those Scion tokens away, and you're really paying 5 mana, maybe no harm was done in a situation like that. So the card is maybe not really committal enough to see it makes a standard or a constructed format like that that's very competitive. I just think it's a little too loose. It's going to be good for you in limited. I think even if it just does a little bit of damage to the opponent, even if it's not super big, that can be enough to tip the scales in a limited game. This is an interesting card, interesting design. I just don't really think it's super strong. It looks a little stronger than maybe it is. Next card was spoiled from a Chinese language spoiler, and the title of the card, very loosely translated, this is really more my own translation, Threatening Eldrazi is what I called this, and you'll see why in a second. It's a red and 2 generic. Devoid, so I said generic that time. I gotta get used to saying generic and not colorless. Red and 2 generic. Devoid haste. When you cast Threatening Eldrazi, you may pay a colorless and a generic. If you do, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste till end of turn. It's a 3/1. So as you can see, I kind of called it that because it does the threaten effect if you pay the 2 extra mana when it comes into play. So having said that, this card costs 3 for a 3/1 with haste. Now I do like those stats a little better than the 2/1 haste for 3 that we saw the other day, but the other card had a good effect. This also has a very good effect if you have the mana to pay for it. Threaten effects are always great and limited. They're always going to be fantastic for you, and 99% of the time you get a chance to play them. So here's an opportunity to play a 3/1 haste creature and perhaps steal your opponent's creature, get some damage across. I do like that quite a bit. Is this good enough for standard play? If the red deck wins, red aggro fast deck still exists out there, which I have a feeling it probably will, this could be a part of it. It's just that good. If you don't even have a target, it's still a 3/1 with haste for 3. If you do have a target, it just becomes that much more powerful. This is exactly what that deck's looking for, because sometimes in the mid to late game, you might have a bunch of little creatures and you might be kind of board stalled. A couple big creatures on the other side could be holding back your army. You can't quite do lethal damage. Well, this card could change all that and just kind of tip the flow of the game. So watch out for this one. Next card was a spoiler from a Italian language card. Again, a little rough translation, not sure what the name will actually be. Right now we're calling it Maligno Redeemer. 1 green, 2 colorless. It's an Eldrazi with Devoid and Flash. It's a 3/3. And when you cast this card, you may pay a colorless. If you do, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield for each non-token creature that died under your control this turn. Of course, they have sacrifice to add colorless mana to your mana pool. So first off, paying 3 for a 3/3, yeah, that's kind of awesome. I'm good with that. The effect itself may be relevant sometimes, maybe it won't be. And Flash is just kind of icing on the cake. As far as limited goes, I would play this even without the effect. 3/3 for 3 with Flash, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'll definitely take it. As far as the effect goes, think about standard post-rotation. Once you lose your Tassigurs and you lose your Siege Rhinos, Oath is really pushing players to play a much smaller, wider game. So cards like Languish may become better, and if Languish becomes a force in the metagame, this is a way to counteract Languish. So keep an eye on this card. It could see some standard play if Languish becomes in vogue, which there's a very good chance it will. So keep an eye out on that. Next we have Flare Drone, a red, a black, and a generic. I got it right that time. It's a 3/1 Eldrazi drone with Devoid and First Strike. When another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent loses 1 life. I really like this card. This is a great aggro card. So limited, first off, yes, this is a bomb. Goes without saying. You're going to pay 3 for a 3/1 first striker, and you're going to be very happy about it. Even if you don't have another colorless creature in your entire deck, you're going to be very pleased. This is at uncommon, so there's going to be a few of these floating around in a game and in a draft. As far as limited goes, if there's a red-black version of aggro out there, this card's good enough to be in it, so keep an eye on it. This is really strong. Next we have Mind Melter, 1 black, 1 blue, and a generic. It's a 2/2 Eldrazi drone with Devoid, and it can't be blocked. You can also pay a colorless and 3, target opponent exiles a card from his or her hand, activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So this one, maybe not quite as powerful as the last one, but still a good limited card. You're paying 3 for a 2/2, but it's unblockable, so it's a good way to get through board stalls and kind of get through that stalemate. As far as the effect goes, it's a little pricey, I think, for what it does, especially considering you do need a piece of dedicated colorless mana. So it makes it a little bit harder to pull off, and it does let your opponent decide which card to exile, and they're going to see this coming because it's on the battlefield for the most part. They're going to hold lands and that type of thing. So that effect, not to say it's not good, but it's not always going to be good for you in a lot of games. So that alone is probably going to keep this out of, say, a standard environment, but it's still a good limited card. Joraga Auxiliary, 1 white, 1 green, and a generic. It's an elf soldier ally for 2/3, and its effect is you pay a white, a green, and 4 generic, and you get to support 2. So you get a repeatable support 2. That's actually kind of cool. Again, they're really kind of pushing the allies and having a lot of extra creatures theme, but even support 2 is good. Even if you only have a couple creatures in play, it's still going to be very effective. So this is pretty good in, I would say, a limited build. A little too slow for standard constructed play, but this is going to be a fine limited card in a ally themed deck. Next we have Reflector Mage, 1 blue, 1 white, and a generic. It's a 2/3 human wizard, and when he enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That creature's owner can't cast spells with the same name as that creature until your next turn. Okay, so first off, you get a 2/3 for 3. That's pretty decent. And you get to bounce one of your opponent's creatures, and then they can't play it their next turn. They're going to have to wait another turn to play it again. That's actually kind of a huge tempo play. I really like this card. Good cube card. I think you're going to see this played in a lot of cubes in the future. But on top of that, of course, goes without saying, it's a great limited card. It's fantastic and limited. And I can see this, maybe 1 or 2 copies being run in a control deck. Again, if that blue-white control deck gets there in standard, I could see this being part of it. So keep an eye on this card. Very cool effect. I really like this type of design. Don't know if we've ever seen anything quite like that before. And the last card of the day is Relentless Hunter, 1 green, 1 red, a generic. And it's a 3/3 human warrior, and you can pay a green, a red, and a generic, and it will get +1/+1 against trample until end of turn. Great aggressive card. I think it's a tad slow for standard. However, this is going to be really good for you in a limited game, either sealed or draft. Not only are you able to pump this creature, but the first time you pump it, it gets trample, 4/4 trample, nothing to scoff at, and 3 for 3/3 is still also very good stats. So yeah, a very good limited card. Maybe not a standard card, but good limited card. So having said that, those are all the spoilers for today. So we will be back tomorrow with more Oath of the Gatewatch spoilers. And until then, hey, as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.